All right, thanks, Adam. An offbeat comedy and a gripping documentary that's being shown to benefit Hoopeston's Lorraine Theater are on area screens this weekend. Film critic Chuck Koplinski is here to give us the lowdown. So, Chuck, good morning.
How are you?
Doing well. The OG's back in style today.
That's me.
I'm excited. So, what are we talking about first today? Long Shot?
Let's talk about Long Shot first. Yeah, this is a movie that, you know, you see the preview and you look at it and it's like, wow, I'm gonna like this movie, and you won't be disappointed with this one. Unlikely romantic couple, Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen. There you see Miss Theron. She's Secretary of State Charlotte Field, and she's dealing with the clueless president, played by Bob Odenkirk, who's just told her he's not seeking re-election and is planning, if she's willing, to endorse her for a run for the president if she'd like. And of course, she likes. And she sets out on the trail. And here she's at a big fundraiser where she catches the eye of Seth Rogen. Great character name here, Fred Flarsky. Seems as though they have a past. She's a couple years older than he is, and she used to babysit him.
Weird.
So weird. And of course, he's had a crush on her for forever.
Of course.
And of course, he continues to make a fool out of himself from his teenage years to right now. Thing is, he's a writer, and he's a very good writer. And she reads some of his writing. There's the flashback there. Reads some of his writing, decides to hire him as her speechwriter for the campaign, and they head out on the campaign trail. Well, if you know anything about campaigns, they are very insular. You're running from one place to another. You deal with the same people day in, day out, and of course, eventually, sparks fly between them. What I liked about this movie is that the romance and love stuff comes later. The first half of the movie deals with the characters, and you see them talking to each other honestly. They're very honest with each other about what they stand for, what their policies are, what they believe in. And in doing that, you understand then how they could actually fall in love. These two physical opposites realize that they have a great deal in common, and that the things they hold true and dear to themselves are the things that make them attractive to one another. Movie's very funny. It's also very, very smart in politics as far as that's concerned, because really what it's saying is that in today's politics, you can't be yourself. You've got to put forth this image of yourself if you want to be elected. And of course, he has to put forth a new image of himself if she's going to take him on, because of course, politics is all about image. O'Shea Jackson Jr., yeah, that's a very funny thing, matchups that the public doesn't like, and they're included. O'Shea Jackson Jr., who's Ice Cube's son, you saw him in Straight Outta Compton, plays Rogen's best friend. He steals every scene he's in. This is a great date night movie, but also it's one that you can watch a couple of times. This one's going to be around for a while. I like it.
Seth Rogen is so lucky to get all these really beautiful women next to him on scenes.
He must be real charming.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Really
it's kind
charming.
of a theme I notice in all of his films.
Well, and he and Theron are both producers on the movie as well, so they're very much behind the scenes of this stuff.
Yes, it looks really funny. I really want to see
good.
this one. So.
And Pam really liked it.
Oh, thank you for including Pam's opinion.
I was told that I had to.
Oh, I see how that is. And you actually got to sit down and interview someone from the movie. So
yeah, O'Shea Jackson, Pam and I both sat down. We had the chance to interview him last week. Charming young man, and it was a good conversation.
Great. You guys, if you're interested in seeing that interview, we're going to have the whole thing as a web exclusive on WCIA.com, so I'll post a link to that later.
Cool.
It was a really great interview, so Pam and Chuck did an excellent job, as always. But now we're moving on to something I've been wrestling with for a while now, Chuck. What are we talking about?
Are you on the mat over it, or what?
It has a ring to it.
Oh, there we go. I think we're done.
Okay. Ding, ding.
Up in Hoopeston, they've got the classic Lorraine Theater, and it has fallen, unfortunately, into disrepair over the years. There's a benefit this weekend. There's another building a little bit down the street called the Little Lorraine, and at the Little Lorraine on Saturday and Sunday, they'll be showing a documentary called Wrestle. And this documentary, I have to say, is quite good. If you're familiar with the movie Hoop Dreams, which came out 25 years ago, followed two young men from the Cabrini Green housing complex and their journey through high school basketball and trying to make something of that. Same thing here. This takes place in Alabama. 4 young men this time who are trying to pull their lives together. And the things that these young kids are dealing with, no one should have to deal with. There is not a father involved in any of these 4 young men's lives. They're all dealing with their own set of issues as well regarding pressure from outside sources, expectations that they think they have to meet. And it all becomes a little bit much for all of them. Thing is, though, they've got a coach, a young man named Coach Scribner. You're going to see him in a little bit. And this young man had problems of his own when he was their age but now he's being a mentor. There he is in the background there. And he really sticks by these boys and really gets them to believe in themselves on their way to hopefully qualifying for the state wrestling championship. This movie I really liked, and boy, the access they had, really fly-on-the-wall stuff. These families let these filmmakers in, and you really, at times, it's quite uncomfortable because you feel as though, man, we shouldn't be listening to this, we shouldn't be seeing this, but it's really a lot of trust that these families put in these filmmakers. Not all 4 of these men make it to their ultimate goal, but you get the impression by the end of this film that each of them is better off for the experience, and that hopefully they'll take this experience further on when dealing with things in their lives. But this is up at the Little Lorraine in Hoopeston on Saturday and Sunday. If you go to lorrainetheater.com, you can find out the times for the showings, and all proceeds, again, go towards restoring the classic Lorraine Theater.
And Chuck, you know, why is it so important that people contribute to things like this and getting back those old pieces of history like that?
Well, because they are history, and you have to remember that these theaters used to be the foundation of their communities. I mean, to think that a town like Hoopeston would have a theater of their own, this speaks to you as far as to how important movie theaters were to towns. It was a place to gather. It was a place where people would come and share. And we've talked about this before. There's nothing like the shared experience of a film. Yes, Netflix is wonderful on a rainy night, you know, when you don't want to go out and just want to sit in your jammies. But for films in which you share with strangers in the dark, and then they have that communal response, there's nothing like that, especially in a building where you know that history has been there and generations have gone. So to my mind, that's why it's important. And we're lucky in this town to have the Art Theater and the Virginia. The Normal's just down the road. So this whole area has a history of historic theaters. If you ever get the chance to go up to Onarga, they have a nice theater that was built back in the 30s that they've renovated.
I didn't know that.
So
That's
great. So we're right in a kind of little of a belt.
The drive-thru's on my list still.
The drive-in there, and on the way to the drive-in, there's a town called Leroy. They have an old horse carriage stable back in the 1911 that was converted to a theater.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we've got about 5 or 6 of these theaters in the area, and the Lorraine needs to be on that list.
Great. Well, you guys add that to your list, and Chuck just gave you a little history lesson there, so appreciate it.
You bet.
And now, where can people connect with you on social media if they'd like to learn more?
Real Talk with Chuck and Pam, our Facebook page and our website. There's Pam in New York with me. She's in New York right now.
I know. She's always back there.
She sucks. So she's having a good time, and unfortunately, she'll be back here away from New York, but with us. So that's a big thing
I think it's fortunate.
For her, it is.
Yes.
Yes, next week.
Can't wait to see her. Well, thanks, Chuck, for being here. We really appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we'll be right back.